from the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Pete Sanchez. Mike Walsh is with me. Michael, how are you? We are recording this on the first day of fall.
Are we really?
We are.
I didn't realize that. Today's the first day of fall?
Yeah, autumn.
I do know what fall is. That is true. But I did not realize today was the first day of it. I haven't been paying attention to the calendar.
Well, you would not be...
I would have assumed that my day would have started bathed in pumpkin spice at this point.
You know, we do not have pumpkin spice or apple cider or gourds or...
other fall accoutrement.
Paraphernalia.
Yeah, there you go.
Accoutrement? Is that?
That's one of my mom's words, accoutrement instead of paraphernalia.
I always thought it was accoutrements, but that's my...
Well, my mom actually spoke of everyone in the family, even though the rest of us are French and she is not, she would break out the French every now and again. So accoutrement is French.
I love that. I just want to start saying that.
I love my mom.
Accoutrement.
Okay, there you go. Yes, we do not have any of the fall stuff up. Although I always tell people, as we're coming up on October 1st, that the question always is when to put out your Halloween gear. And I always say the end of September is too early and the beginning of October is too late. So it's like the midnight hour right before October 1st, I think, is when you have to get everything out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You got like a minute to get it all out.
I think I have one of those skeletons. You can move the arms. I'll probably put that on the wall. And
on the wall inside your house, just staring
like
at you?
My little apartment. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll decorate it. I have
not on the door on the outside. Not on the door on the outside.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe I'm just I don't know. I usually don't decorate my door. Maybe I will.
Well, you don't want to scare the neighbors.
No, I already scare them enough with the music that I play sometimes.
I inadvertently came across your Instagram feed. I believe it was country music on Sunday morning, wasn't it?
Yes. It was very interesting listening to a lot. If Ken Burns, the documentarian, his new one on country music, and a lot of it, he just had an episode devoted to Hank Williams, and it's interesting. The roots of that was really, there was kind of a hodgepodge of blues, of Southern gospel music. You hear Elvis. I kind of, I think I've said here, my mother's Baptist. So I grew up with some of that old country hymns, Crying in the Chapel, May the Circle Be Unbroken is another one. Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, of course, Amazing Grace. So that kind of is... it's interesting because I've had it buried inside me, but watching something like this country music is kind of opening that back up, and it's wonderful. All that gospel, the hymnal, and I don't know if Hank Williams did a lot of that. He had a troubled life, but he had an honesty. Like I think they mentioned country music is 3 chords and the truth. So to me, it's some, I love it. I love it. So that was kind of...
There's a biopic about him, I think, with, I want to say Tom Hiddleston. If you ever get a chance, you should probably check it out.
Did you see it?
No.
No, I did it. I
just saw the reviews, and the reviews all seem positive. Not?
It was, I saw it, and it was a good concept, and I thought Tom Hiddleston played a very good Hank Williams. But the movie, the script was just not there.
Really?
It was a little too episodic, and... It was all over the place, so I think the casting went well. I do not fault the acting at all. The other woman, Elizabeth Olsen, played his wife, who also has been in the Marvel movies. So the two of them were good. It's disappointing. They do these biopics. Yeah. They're kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
But I saw the light, Mike. I think,
I'm glad we had this movie minute. This is good. At the very least, we got that out.
Yeah.
So what's coming up in the diocese, Pete?
Well, this is coming up this weekend, the World Day of Migrants and Refugees. This is a mass and celebration to meet your migrant neighbors, enjoy ethnic foods, and celebrate diverse cultures. It's going to be this Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Mass at St. Lawrence Church, which is Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish Shrine at 135 North Whitehorse Pike in Lindenwold, New Jersey. So again, come on out. All are welcome. World Day of Migrants and Refugees.
That's always a good event to come to for the food alone. The food is delicious. You get a lot of Asian-inspired food. It's really good.
Yeah, it is. And who knows, Mike, that culture too, you don't know what languages are going to be spoken at, Spanish or maybe French. It's kind of, they talk about the U.S. as a melting pot, and I think it should be a good time.
Yeah, I was there 2 years ago, and I could have stayed and the kids are always a blast to play with. They're always good too. So
I'm looking at a flyer here, and these
come for the food, stay for the camaraderie. There you go.
Yes. And then we got, of course, Mike, the Justice for All dinner will be celebrated October 3rd, 5:30 p.m. at Resorts Hotel in Atlantic City. Elaine Quijano she's anchor for Sunday night.
She's a Sunday night CBS Evening News anchor. Yes, she'll be our MC.
Yes, she will. And this will honor Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle will receive the Justice in Action Award. In
absentia, unfortunately, but yes.
Yeah,
he's got to be in a room with the Pope making some cardinals. But
yes.
But otherwise, we're still going to be honoring, 5 local Disciples of Mercy, as well as a Share the Journey award winner, which will be shared by 3 women religious that have gone on these Share the Journey adventures, pilgrimages. So it's going to be a nice night, and the food is always great, so show up. It's a nice night.
Even better, all funds raised are used for direct client services provided by the Diocese of Camden's Catholic Charities.
Yep, doesn't go to salaries. It goes literally to helping the needy in the communities.
Yeah. So it would be promises to be a wonderful night. So for more info, go to catholiccharities.camden.org/JFA2019.
Yep.
And then might need to talk about our friends, the CFRs, Mike, the Franciscan Sisters of the Renewal.
Fine. Let's talk about the CFRs. Just kidding. We love the CFRs.
Oh, my gosh. Well, hopefully Sister Agnes is not listening because she was very happy.
I actually got to see Sister Agnes, and I and Mother Lucille and Sister Ann Cattery and Sister Joseph recently, as a matter of fact. Yeah, they came to an event that I was invited to and got to spend some quality time. And as a matter of fact, we were talking about getting them on the podcast soon.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. They're just lovely, lovely people. But this event that they're sponsoring is the Samuel Group. If you're a young adult, men or women, ages 39 years old, 18 to 39 years old, are you seeking to know yourself, to know Jesus, to find your place in the world and in the church, then the Samuel Group just might be what you're looking for. This event, sponsored by the CFRs, is a discernment group. It will gather in fellowship, study, prayer, and discovery every first Sunday afternoon of the month from October until May. And these gatherings will take place at St. Anthony of Padua Church, 285 Route 206 in Hamilton. And Sister Agnes even said that the Samuel Group is an effective way for young adults to step away from the noisy world and begin to hear the Lord speak His will for their lives to them in silence and find peace, joy, and confidence for their spiritual journey. The meetings include fellowship, talks, guided reflection, meditation before the Blessed Sacrament, an opportunity for confession. And if you're interested, you must have a phone interview with Sister Agnes before being accepted. You have to attend all meetings and have a spiritual director. But don't worry, if you don't have one now, the program will help you find a spiritual director. Again, this is a Samuel Group. Of course, this comes from the prophet Samuel, who actually spoke to the Lord. He said, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." So any young adults who are looking to better hear the voice of God and what He wants for your lives, you can visit www.camdendiocese.org/Samuel Group or call Sister Agnes at 609-343-1545. Should be a good time for ages.
It comes across as a very to read. I read your article and I read the ads for it. And it can come across as a bit scary, but the people we know that have been a part of it, it's if you legitimately think that you hear a calling from God to consider discernment, this is the kind of group you want to join. Simply, even if you find out that I've discerned, guess what? Don't have a vocation to the priesthood or women religious or becoming a brother or a monk or whatever your choice might be. These discernment groups are a great opportunity to talk to other people who may have a calling and to have a discussion and find out for real, do I really have a calling to whatever form of religious life you might have? So don't be afraid of it. I wish that had sort of come across a little bit more in things that we've put out about it, that this isn't a scary process. It's really an opportunity for you to learn more. The sisters sent us a video that we've put up a couple different places. I think we put it up on Facebook. Yeah. That where you have some young people who are discerning in it, some young adults, and I think their stories are very moving. The video itself is not great on the sound quality, so if you can look past that part, I already told Sister that we would help create a new video for them at some point, but I think just hearing their stories might be meaningful to you. So if you really think you have a calling, don't just sit on the sidelines, and don't be afraid to talk about it. Have a discussion with somebody.
Yeah, and this is a good time too, Mike. Just you were saying, to figure out your calling, it's good. This will help you create a kind of a culture of silence in yourself, and a culture of listening to what God wants for you. So I think I would highly recommend this to anybody who kind of just is trying to figure it out, but it can't be a noisy world. So find some solace, find some peace in the Samuel group.
Yeah.
And go on Facebook, Catholic Star Herald, and I think the Diocese of Camden too. You put up the video too.
I did.
So check out the video, and that might even be more impactful for your decision than just listening to two guys
who don't have a calling to to religious life. Though we do have somebody with us today who does. Not religious life, but clergy.
We do. Well, one more announcement, Mike, and then we can talk to him more about it. Okay. Oh, I spoiled it. It's a him.
Okay. Well...
Darn it.
Pete, you're the worst.
I am the worst.
All right, so what's the last thing coming up?
Mike's keeping me humble here. This is October 6th. This is cool. Once again, the Diocese of Camden Hispanic Ministry is sponsoring a celebration, creating a culture of encounter. And Mike, you're talking about food? The Spanish, we know how to party. So this will be the.
I'm trying to figure out where that forced laugh came into that.
I was thinking about the food. The fellowship and food. You're talking about the food at the events. Of course, I have Spanish culture, so I'm sure there'll be rice and beans here.
Well, I've been to this event before. I know there's going to be rice and beans.
Yes, and man, no, this is delicious. No, but it'll be a good time. Come together. Bishop Sullivan will be here.
Did we say what it was?
Yeah, the Hispanic Diocesan celebration.
I was probably laughing too hard to hear that.
And the theme will be creating a culture of encounter. This is going to be at Divine Mercy Parish, 23 West Chestnut Avenue in Vineland, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, October 6th, and Bishop Dennis Sullivan will be there. So I would say break bread, but maybe... Just have rice and beans with Bishop Sullivan.
No, they
will break bread in the Eucharist, of course.
Yeah, of course. I went to that for the first time last year, and as a non-Spanish speaker, I don't often throw myself into Spanish-speaking events. But I was covering that for the I was covering it in general, I guess. I put it out on all of our media platforms. But there was no one else to go that day, so I was like, I'll volunteer and I'll go. I should probably go to this. And I got to tell you, it was outstanding. The Mass itself was beautiful and boisterous, and there was a procession I don't know if there's a procession every year, but there was a procession last year. And then the food afterwards, Pete, you could have drowned in all the food that was in there. It was incredible, and it all tasted and smelled so good. So if you're a person that's sort of been not overly desirous of going to a Spanish language event, I'm going to encourage you to just, throw caution to the wind and appreciate the fact you're going to go someplace where you're not going to understand what's being said, but you're going to understand everything that's happening, because, it's the beauty of our religion, is that even if it's in another language, you know what's going on. You'll have a great time. It'll be a blast. You'll have a much great. If you've never had a particularly strong appreciation for our Latino brothers and sisters, this is the kind of event that might change your mind about that, because it's fantastic. And by all means, stay for the food.
Yeah, and the faith too. I always been spiritually enriched at these, for lack of a better word, encounters with the Hispanic community. Yeah. Again, this is Sunday, October 6th, Divine Mercy Parish in Vineland from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. with Bishop Dennis Sullivan. So for more information, you can call Norma Guzman at 856-583-6170 and tell her you're coming, and I'm going to try to make it myself October 6th.
You should.
Hope to see you there. Well, Mike, we're here with two distinguished gentlemen.
We are with two distinguished. They just looked at each other real quick. Ooh, distinguished.
I know. They're looking behind them like, who else is here? No, it's not.
Who's with us, Pete?
We have here, we have Deacon Anthony Cioe. Once again, Deacon, how are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me again. I appreciate it.
And you are a permanent deacon out of St. Peter and Paul in Turnersville.
That is correct.
And how are things over there?
They're doing great over there. It's a wonderful parish, wonderful people. We have a new administrator, Father Steve Rapicelli, and he's just doing a wonderful job as well. So we're very, very blessed.
Yeah, that was. I got a chance to chat with him the other day. He's. I think you got a good man there, and the good father. He's definitely got a good head on his shoulders. And then we also have with us Anthony Scafidi, not a deacon, but now a father of about a year with his little baby. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm very excited to be here, so thank you guys for inviting me.
Oh, we're happy to have you here. And you are both on the leadership team for Man Up South Jersey, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's Deacon Anthony. Have you been on it for 1 year or 2 years now?
This is second year.
Second year.
Yep.
So you, I know certainly that Deacon Anthony Cioe can be quite a taskmaster. So he hasn't scared you off, right? I mean, you're
absolutely not. I've enjoyed every single thing that I've been tasked with in the last 2 years.
And the truth of the matter is, most people who are listening to this probably, if you follow any of the Man Up social media, you probably already know quite a bit about Anthony because Anthony runs most of the social media that we do. I'm a firm believer in turning over the social media reins to other people whenever I can, and he picked up the reins for Man Up South Jersey, and he's been doing a great job. Yes, so if you like the content, Anthony, if you don't like the content, just talk to me. I don't mind taking the blame.
Thank you. And also, quick interesting note about Father Steve. Love him. He was at Our Lady of Hope for a while, and he was actually one of 3 priests who celebrated my marriage back in 2017.
Really? Oh, really?
So he helped out with our youth group for a while, and he's just a fantastic person.
Wow.
That's great.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
We didn't say this about you, Anthony. You're a junior youth ministry coordinator at Our Lady of Hope.
Yes. So my wife and I actually just took on that position as the co-coordinators last year, working with 5th through 7th graders, and we are loving it so far.
And so this Man Up, I love your shirt, by the way. That's last year's shirt?
So this is actually this year's, and they're going to be debuting at the event this year. So anyone who would like a Man Up South Jersey polo, keep an eye out for them if you're going to be attending the event in November.
Snazzy. No, well, you're debuting it now. Mike, you got to get a shot of that.
Well, we will, guaranteed. We always do. Not a problem.
No, I think that's great. I think I'm definitely keeping my eye.
And just to be clear, we're going to have a table where they can be purchased on demand at the event. Mm-hmm. So if you're expecting them in your basket, that's not going to happen. But we are going to have, or in your bag, but we are going to have them available.
And I have to say, last year I was very pleased with the atmosphere. Just recalling last year's Man Up, it is at the same location, the Paul VI Conference Center.
Yes, it is.
In Haddon Heights. And
if I could just kind of jump in on that, just because it is so interesting that on our committee we're able to have Anthony Scafidi, because Anthony brings to the group a very, very young perspective. Okay, Anthony is in his late 20s. I'm in my middle 60s. We think very differently on some things, but when it comes to planning for this Man Up conference, we're able to see the perspective of youth come in as to the type of speakers that we should have, the type of music that we should have. It brings a great joy to be able to have his thought process on the committee. And the committee is made up of a group of people of a lot of different age groups. Okay, we really do. We go across the spectrum in the committee, and each of them is able to bring to that group the thoughts as to what is going to make a good program. What is going to be the best for the men who come? How do we feed them properly? How do we offer them the very best in speakers and in comfort and in just everything? So they've done a wonderful, wonderful job. So to go back to your question, yes, it is going to be at the same place as last year. It's going to be at the Paul VI Conference Center, and I have to tell you, for a high school, it is probably the best venue that we can possibly think of. It's comfortable. The acoustics are excellent. The sound system is great. The visual capability is wonderful. It provides everything we need to really produce a fantastic conference. So
And you never feel like you're in a high school.
You really don't. You really don't. It's just a place where you're going to be able to feel the presence of God because we have a chapel, we have the Eucharist. You're going to be able to feel the presence and camaraderie of other men who really come together to share in an event that brings people closer to Christ. And when we started to create this particular conference, our goal is to be able to produce an event that allows men to bring Christ into the center of their life. That's really key. If you look at our theme this year, it's anchored in Christ. How do we anchor ourselves in Christ, that Christ is the center of our life? How do we help men to push themselves out of the center of their life and bring Christ into the center of their life? Because when Christ is in the center of our life, we know that there is order, there is harmony, there is peace, and there is joy. And when Christ is in the center of our life, when we push it out, it gets a lot more difficult. There's disharmony. So our goal, and Anthony has been instrumental in helping us to do this, our goal has been to create an environment where men can learn how to make Christ the center of their lives and push themselves out. Anthony, don't you think that's true?
I absolutely do. And I think there's kind of another angle for the anchored in Christ theme, right? It's focusing on making Christ the center of our life, but then it's also when we encounter troubles and struggles through our faith journey that we can always somehow get back to him, right? So whether it's any issues going on within the church itself, via the news, just things that may potentially throw us off the path, even internal struggles, family, friends, things that might kind of rock the boat, if you will, with our faith, to make sure that we're able to pursue a path that is going to lead us back to Christ and then kind of re-anchor ourselves in him.
Absolutely.
So, why don't we talk a little bit about what Man Up is and sort of how it came to South Jersey? We had you on the podcast last year, Deacon Anthony. We talked about this again, prior, but I just want to make sure that everyone knows exactly what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
It's quite an event.
It really is. Man Up conference started in Philadelphia, I guess it's 10 years ago. And there's a gentleman by the name of Eustace Mita, just a wonderful Catholic man, who started the conference about 10 years ago. And what he's tried to do is to be able to create a conference whereby men can come together in an environment that's comfortable for them, where they can hear from great speakers, and they can just be closer to each other and closer to Christ. So he created this concept about 10 years ago. One of the members of the Diocesan Finance Council, I think, tugged on Bishop Sullivan's sleeve a couple of times and said, you know what, we really need to have a similar conference in South Jersey. And there was already a connection between the Diocese of Camden and Eustace Mita. So Eustace and Bishop got together and talked about it. And Eustace basically said to us, we will give you the entire concept in a box. So you can use the logo, you can use the theme, follow the process, and it will work. And last year, he gave us great support and great help, and he's doing it again this year. But he gave us great support to be able to start this conference here in South Jersey. So he followed his process, whereby, again, certain types of speakers, certain type of environment, the opportunity to be able to have confession throughout the day, to be able to have priests there where men can come together and just, feel the Spirit calling them in that environment, to be able to go to confession, to be able to just be among other men in discerning their faith. So that's how it came about last year. And we've learned from last year. Last year's conference was excellent, but we learned some things. We learned some things that we want to do better. So in this particular conference, and again, Eustace is a very, very vital part of it. Again, Eustace is actually one of our speakers. He's a wonderful speaker, and he's giving us great support again, as he has in the past. But we've come together with a little bit of a change in how we're going to do breakouts. And I think that's one of the things that comes through a little bit later. And Anthony Scafidi has been very, very instrumental in helping us put together the breakouts. Because when we did the survey at the end of the year, last year, they said, hey, it's great, but we really like some topics that we really chew on and take something away into our lives. So we developed some great topics for this year for breakouts. Enriching your life with Mary and prayer and devotion. That we think is going to be a wonderful topic. Connecting to God through technology. And I want to ask Anthony to speak about that one in just a second. The other one is remaining Catholic, staying anchored in Christ, as he mentioned. So we're using some of Bishop Barron's resources to be able to help us to stay strong while we are dealing with difficulties in our faith. And is it okay if I ask Anthony to
Absolutely.
talk about connecting with God through technology?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. So this breakout session is really going to focus on different ways that we as men can utilize technology in our lives, right, on a day-to-day basis to stay connected with God and to really focus on our prayer life and just continuing to walk in our faith journey. So we will be presenting a couple different examples, but then at the end of the session, we're going to give everyone a list of multiple websites and apps that you can download for your phone, different social media pages, content streams, podcasts, things that you can integrate into your daily life that, again, are going to help boost your prayer life and really help you in your faith walk. So I know for me personally, I have about an hour commute to work in the morning, and I sit on a train, and oftentimes I just find myself mindlessly scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, so on and so forth. And so what I've done over the last year, which really kind of brought about this topic, was follow various social media pages, many within the diocese, of course, such as Talking Catholic. So I've listened to podcasts through the social media.
We like to hear that. That's nice to hear.
Yep. Come back anytime.
As well as groups like Ascension Presents, which just oftentimes have 2 to 3 minute videos, talks given by Father Mike Schmitz and, various other people throughout the Catholic faith who I can just pop my headphones in, listen to that video for 2 to 3 minutes in the morning, and it's just a fantastic reflection on various topics in the faith. There are apps that focus on daily prayer, daily reflection, helping us as men to pray the rosary, which some of us are able to do on our commute into work, which is a fantastic use of time, and just various things that, again, are going to help us on our faith walk. So I'm excited to be able to give that presentation this year. And again, touch on and highlight a couple of different applications and websites and things that men can use.
I'd like to add something to that, because on the surface, you hear that topic and you say to yourself, well, this topic is geared towards young people, okay? And it is. But I can also tell you that this topic is geared towards every generation. 2 years ago, Pew Research did a study that showed that seniors, okay, so again, I'm 67 years old, so people who are 65 and older, the studies showed that seniors use smartphones almost at the same rate that other generations do. So if everyone is using a smartphone, why not use it to help strengthen our prayer life? So as we look through every generation, whoever attends, that topic is going to have relevance for everyone, because we have smartphones. Instead of mindlessly looking at Facebook, as you mentioned, which we all do, how do we look and say, let me start my day with morning prayer? And I've got an app on my phone that does that. How, when I'm in the car, can I listen to the radio stations or bring up an app through my Bluetooth where I can actually have something that's much more spiritual? How do I close my day with prayer? How do I integrate it in? Well, what we're doing is we're compiling a list of the top sites that you can use that are going to help strengthen your spiritual life. It's going to be amazing just in and of itself, present that information at the conference.
Oh, yeah. And, even to the point of when we were looking for suggestions, we were getting, we put it out to the committee. I'm on the committee. And you got a ton of responses back. And most of them were from our non-millennial groups. I mean, because there are a lot of men that are doing it right now, but these are men who are very focused on their faith. And a lot of our attendees are people who are working harder to be focused on their faith. So I think you'll pick up a couple of good things. Actually, come to think of it, last week's guest, or one of last week's guests, deacon to be, hopefully, at some point, Deputy Chief Dave Harkins. He was on the podcast, and he's also on the committee. And I think he actually sort of started the flurry of things that he listens to, because he's got a very busy job, and he says he's checking these things out, not when he's on the job, but to the job, on the way from the job, to remind himself when he's got a break in the job about his spirituality. These are important technological benefits that we can now have.
Absolutely.
How about you, Pete? Do you have do you use things on your phone or?
Oh, yeah. Anthony was talking about Ascension Press. I was listening to a podcast with Father Schmetz. Mm-hmm. So there is that component too. I'm busy. I don't have as long as a commute as you, but I listen to different things in the morning, especially for my prayer life too. With the Rosary, there's definitely a lot of apps, and there is something. I joke that when I go to see my family, when I go see my parents once a week for dinner, they ignore me because I get in there and they're on the back couch just on their phones. Mm-hmm. My mom's texting my sister, and my dad's looking at something from a Catholic website. I'm here, guys. And then it's like they just ignore me. No, I love you guys. But one of the things I think, Deacon Anthony, you said, this thing, it's for everyone, because last year, it's interesting, I got to talk to this guy who was there with his daughter's boyfriend and also his granddaughter's boyfriend. So it really brings all ages together, and that's one of the things I love about this. It's not just for young adults. It's not just for, it's really for, and so many people come out. It's an arching.
Yeah, it's really intended for, men of all ages. And not that we have gotten a lot of pushback, and thanks be to God that we haven't, but we do know that this is a men's-only event, and that could cause some people some concern that why are men getting this special treatment. But the truth of the matter is that oftentimes, all the studies show that men have the hardest time sort of embracing their spiritual side, and it's a carryover from cultural issues we've been facing as a society for decades now, probably hundreds of years actually, is that men just don't get an opportunity to focus that much on their spiritual side. I know for me, before I came to the diocese, when I was out in the secular world, short of going to Mass on a holy day of obligation, it was very difficult for me to make my spirituality part of my daily life. It was something I always wanted to do, and I failed at spectacularly. This this conference is really intended for guys. Well, it's intended for all guys, but where it spoke to me the most was as a guy who had difficulty with this, being shown these great opportunities of bringing my spirituality into my daily life and not being fearful about it, being able to, more than anything else, being able to be comfortable with being a Catholic in my public life. I was always happy to be the token Catholic in all my jobs, where everyone would come to me and ask about all of the, so explain to me how a Pope becomes a Pope. What's the deal with that? And when Pope Benedict retired, it was like, oh man, let's go talk to Mike. That's never happened before. It has 600 years ago, but it has. So anyway, that as somebody who's had difficulty with his spirituality in the past, I find this to be an incredibly beneficial opportunity for guys.
Mike, what you just shared is exactly the point of the conference. Everyone will walk away with something different. Each person will be touched by something that the Holy Spirit is trying to touch us with. If you talk to 50 people who went to the conference last year, and you ask each of them what was most meaningful, you'll hear 50 different things. You'll hear someone say something that touched them. Another person will say, well, I didn't get that at all. If we allow ourselves to be put in God's presence, if we allow ourselves to be open to the Holy Spirit, there will be something at this conference that will touch each person individually. It may be something as simple as walking away with an app or a site that they can now use on their phone to strengthen their spirituality. It could be a person who hasn't been to confession in a long time and was struggling with doing that, who now has that opportunity and feels the ability to go. It could be a person who just feels that the adoration in the holy hour was so special. It could be a person who looks and says, we had such great camaraderie. I feel as though we're in this together. It could be something a speaker says that touched it, says, you know what, that person struggled with that. I know that I can deal with the struggles that I have. God will talk to us in a very personal way at a conference or a retreat. And if a person comes, I guarantee they will be touched, because first of all, they'll come because they're being led there. And second of all, they'll go and they'll open themselves up to the Holy Spirit. That's what we want to try to accomplish with the conference.
I think just what you were saying, Deacon, I've had those moments, and I'm sure other guys, other people have had those moments where I can get in a way where I don't want to talk to anybody, much less open the Bible or do the rosary. And it can last for a few days where I'm just kind of in my head what I have to do. And I get depressed. I've gotten depressed. I've gotten angry with myself. And I'm shutting the walls. But it always in that moment, when I think about, I should open the door for God to come into my life and give me that grace, give me that hope, give me that peace. Miracles can happen. And I think that is what Mike was saying, what you were just, if we allow ourselves, if we come and we just let God work through us.
That's right.
Anthony, I'm curious, you've been to Man Up Philly, you've been to Man Up South Jersey. Was there anything last year in particular that really spoke to you? Like what part of the event kind of, like adoration always moves me. Was there anything that particularly spoke to you?
So one of the things that really jumped out at me, and I think it speaks to a little bit of what we've been saying here. Men who may have been struggling with their faith walk outside of Sunday Mass. For me, I just remember seeing a handful of people from my own church and from other churches within the diocese who I've maybe experienced at different events, seeing them there that day, and then kind of thinking, hey, it's not just a, hey, how you doing on a Sunday? It's, I'm here and present for this day. We got the chance to speak at lunch, speak in the gym, which is where the confessions were being held, and just to really hear them talk about wanting something more.
Yeah.
And so getting that chance to just speak with these other guys, all ages. I mean, I remember seeing some older gentlemen from my church as well, and just being able to kind of go up and talk to them again outside of church and really kind of see where they were at in their faith walk. That was inspiring for me. It really was.
It's funny you should say that, because as I was prattling on before, it occurred to me that I didn't mention the thing that really impresses me the most is seeing all these guys together and freely sharing with each other. That really is, if there's something that can't really be replicated anyplace else in this format, it's that here are all these guys. You get to lower all of your defenses. You just get to be a bunch of guys in a room having a conversation with each other, or perhaps not. I mean, for those of us who are introverts like myself, hanging out in a corner and watching other people have conversations with each other, but at least you're experiencing it, and you're seeing that it can take place, and that we can talk to our neighbors about things that are weighing us down spiritually. There's this habit in the Catholic Church to always look towards certainly Christ and your local priest or your local deacon, but we can also be each other's comfort. I mean, if you look at the genesis of Man Up Philly, it came out of men's gospel groups, right?
Yes, it did.
It's like it was this opportunity for guys to get together and have a conversation and talk about the gospel on a Friday morning conference call or a meeting together. And come to think of it, that's something we've always talked about as part of Man Up, is the creation of religious opportunities for people to get together in small groups and have a conversation or a discussion.
And those will be things that we're hoping are going to come out of this year's conference, a little bit more structure that we can provide for people to start their own reflection groups or be part of one larger reflection groups. We're working on actually those things right now. I'd like to tag on to something you just said about seeing men be able to lower their defenses and just be together in that kind of an environment. There was the number of videos were taken last year, and when I get a chance to see snippets of those, one of the things that really sticks with me and kind of gives me goosebumps in a very, very good way. We had wonderful music there last year. We have wonderful music again. It's the same group, Paging Samuel. They're just magnificent. When you look at the videos, you see men singing and swaying with the music,
clapping and dancing.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You saw a bunch of men of just of every age group there together, enjoying the music and enjoying that camaraderie and being into it and singing. When I said, whenever I see those videos, I smile because I said, that's it. That's exactly what we want to be able to achieve.
Yep. We even got I don't know if we have video, but we have footage or photos of Pete clapping and dancing as well.
I think I took video. I think
no,
I did
of
take
you
video.
is what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
We actually
me?
of you.
Oh, me? Oh no! Well, that was my favorite part. But I
know
hope
you were rocking and rolling. It was good.
boy.
But it was true. I mean, these were, and say what you will, these were men's men. I mean, these were like tough guys that were up there and just. And I was sitting there. I was the one taking pictures and taking videos. I was sitting there on the sidelines going, I kind of can't believe what I'm seeing, but it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It really is. And Paging Samuel deserves a lot of credit because our music was really good. And that and the opening video that is shown before every man up.
Yes.
That's always a treat.
We're going to do that again. I was talking with Pete before, and I was saying about with Paging Samuel, what I really want them to be able to do is I want the Spirit to be able to move them. We're giving them structure, but we also want them to be able to go with the Spirit, to be able to feel the crowd and be able to then interject the songs that they think make the most sense because of what the crowd is feeling.
Yeah.
So we want this to be something where it's a movement within the day where the Spirit overtakes us and just lets us be men who love God, love one another, and just want to walk away feeling stronger about our faith.
Yeah. I agree with that completely.
I think one of the best things about Paging Samuel is there was a speaker who said, hey, how about playing this song? Yeah. And then they proceeded to, I was sitting there and they were right in front of me. They ended up going in the hallway and learning that song.
Yes.
So they did their diligence.
Yeah, was that Eustace who did that?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
yes,
Eustace Meade was so blown away by how good they were that he wanted him to sing it live. Or sing it. Was it Eustace or was it the hockey player? Now I'm confused. I forget which one of them did it.
I think it was Selesky.
I think it was Selesky that did it.
Right. It was Selesky.
I think it was Selesky that did it. And they were like, "You guys know this song. Go ahead." And he went on with his speech, and those guys looked at each other like, "Oh boy!" And you're absolutely. And then they came back in and played it beautifully, having never played it before. And that I think that was ended up what got the group the group of guys really rocking and rolling because we had how many people were there last year?
Almost 450.
Yeah, almost 450, and we're hoping to grow that for this year as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, having that many guys, just that's the beauty of this event. You really don't know what's going to happen next, and it's always passionate and beautiful, and people really respond to it.
When you encounter Christ, you need to expect the unexpected, and that's really what we're looking at. When we put together the speakers, and as a group, we looked at various speakers, right, Anthony? We looked at who we think we should have, and our group of speakers is really interesting this year because we have Kevin Riley, former football player, former Eagle, who just went through a very, very difficult period in his life, and he's able to show us that you are able to go on and still be able to accomplish great things, and he's done that. He's going to share his story with us. He's really absolutely amazing. Eustace Meade is going to be one of our speakers, and again, Eustace just has the ability to just dig right in and get you excited about the faith and feeling the need to share the faith with others. We have Damon Owens. Damon is one of the most sought after speakers there is in the Catholic circles right now, and here's a man who really is able to talk about family and talk about what we need to do to really be able to raise our families well and be able to keep ourselves Christ-centered. Mark Forrest is going to, through word and song, be able to lead us through Holy Hour again, one of the most requested things from last year. Father Hughes is going to be with us to help prepare us for confession. And I have to tell you, that's really important. It's really important. We're going to have the priest there, but it's important that we understand how to kind of dig deep and know what we have to do for confession and get the courage to do it. It's just a great cast that we've put together this year to be able to provide the very best event for everyone.
And of course the 3 breakout sessions as well, which you'll be leading one, right?
No,
you're not leading one this year.
I'll be MC of the event this year. We have Anthony's going to be leading one. Monsignor McGrath is going to be leading one, and I'm not sure I know who the 3rd breakout leader is. I think we're going to nail that one down within the next week or 2 tops.
Yeah, but those we talked about in terms of keeping your spirituality with technology, and then a Marian breakout, and the 3rd one. The 3rd one's a very important one because this is another one that came up through the survey. We know as Catholics that the Catholic Church has been under the gun for quite some time, but it popped up again in the last a little over a year now. The clergy child sex abuse scandals that have really kind of hit us again over the last year. And there are a lot of people that were having a hard time either staying in the faith, or when people would question them, why did they stay on the faith, giving a reasonable answer other than shrugging my shoulders and saying, it's my church, I'm going to stick with it. And sometimes it is as simple as that, but there are a lot of resources out there to help people understand that even with a church that has had such monumental errors, both in the priests who abused young people and the bishops who covered it up, knowing why, even in that tragedy, why it's important to remain Catholic, and that in spite of what happened, we can be good Catholics, and we can proudly proclaim our faith. So that's going to be another good one to be at, and I certainly hope people will go to all the breakouts because we put a lot of time and effort into them, and I think that a lot of what we're doing is with a lot of the presentations. It's going to be a lot of sitting and receiving. The breakouts is where you get a really opportunity to go back and forth with someone about something that might be of concern to you. Maybe I'll go to the Marian one and finally learn how to say the Rosary properly. That's always because I can't memorize prayers. But anyway, that's the thing is that this event, this conference, there's something for everybody. And quite frankly, the confession line last year was enormous. And fortunately, we built in plenty of time to go to confession, right, Deacon?
Absolutely.
But I think that was kind of how we gauged the success of our conference last year, was just how many men went to confession during the lunch hour.
You're right. To be able to just kind of look and see this line continually forming, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I mentioned earlier about the men singing and clapping with the music. Again, a high point. Also, seeing the men in line for confession. We are blessed in our diocese to have leadership that looks at opportunities to provide encounters for people to meet Christ. We heard this as we were sitting here listening in the beginning, Pete, when you were talking about what's going on in the diocese. We are so blessed to have a bishop, to have a group of leadership who looks at creating opportunities for us to encounter Christ. There's something for everyone for us to be able to become stronger in our faith. Man Up is just one of the many things that are done. It's an important one for us right now because we're so deeply involved. But it's just one thing. We are in a diocese that understands how important it is for people of all ages, of all nationalities, of all ethnic backgrounds to become stronger in our faith. And we are truly blessed. And I know that I'm just blessed to be part of anything that we're able to do to help bring people closer to Christ. So
I would agree. So as we wrap up the podcast, I just want to go around the table and let us touch on anything that sort of last minute thoughts. Pete, do you have any questions or thoughts?
Well, I think I just want to say thanks so much, Deacon Anthony Scafidi, for coming on. This has been a grace for me as somebody who grew up the only boy and had 3 sisters. I kind of have always kind of, I've been lucky to find that male fellowship with friends, and even more so now with Man Up. I'm very excited. It's I can't wait. It's on my calendar.
How about you, Anthony? Any last minute thoughts for people who are considering to come? Or
Yep. So I'd like to touch on music real quick. So I'm someone who is a huge Christian music fan, and you can find me at about 5 concerts a year, and I'm the guy that wears his emotion on his sleeve. I have my hand up, my eyes closed. I'm singing out loud, even though I have a terrible voice. And so, kind of like we were talking about earlier, not all guys tend to be like that. So paging Samuel, again, like you mentioned, Deacon Anthony, was fantastic, and they were able to get a lot of guys to do things like that. But with Mark Forrest, and, Mike, I know earlier you mentioned how powerful adoration can be. I mean, the addition of the soft worship music in combination with his piano playing skills and the dim lights and just really being able to put your head down, close your eyes, pray and listen to this beautiful music while you're worshiping the Lord. I mean, truly an incredible experience. And I just think the day overall, for anyone who might be hesitant, you won't regret it. So please come out and join us. We would love to have you.
Yeah. And, I know this is dedicated, or, it's called Man Up, and it's certainly focused on men. But, we always tell the women in the audience to, as we're promoting this, if you have a husband or son or father or grandfather or uncle or brother or friend or cousin or anybody who you think that would really benefit from this, we hope you'll encourage them. As a married man, I can attest to the fact that it is the things that the women in my life, particularly my mother and my wife and a few other folks who have encouraged me to do, that have meant a lot to me. And that includes, it was my wife who encouraged me to answer an ad for this job, and I wouldn't be here without her. So women, you have a lot of power in this as well. So we hope you'll encourage the men in your lives to consider coming. And remember, it is open to all ages. So I think we had I saw the youngest kid last year was like 11, 12. Yes. And he was sitting there with as rapt attention as any of the other guys, any of the older guys. How about you, Deacon Anthony? Any last thoughts?
The only last thought I'd like to add is that please register. To register, it's www.manupsouthjersey.com. Please register so that we can plan properly. And I just can't thank you enough for all, for Anthony and for Mike and for Pete, just the support and the help and everything else that you do to make everything in this diocese so strong and important. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deacon. And to our listeners, thank you very much. We'll certainly have links to everything in the show notes and on social media, and including the link to the Facebook page for Man Up. But in the meantime, guys, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.